Do we sound good?
Yeah, we sound great.
I wasn't even there.
I wonder if Ian could make me a singer.
Yeah.
Could you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Ian is...
No, okay, wait a second.
Okay, stop. Who's the voice teacher here?
No, I know, but...
No.
Okay, well, she can make you a real singer.
I am beyond... No. I am beyond help. Okay, so we're going to get this. It's recording, right? Okay,
I'll
I am
auto-tune this.
beyond help. You cannot teach me, and you cannot audio tune my voice enough to make me a singer. I'm not even.
Challenge thrown down.
I'll add some auto-tune on your voice. And then it'll be
the
fun.
best song I can sing is Amazing Grace. Okay?
You need to come to my house and we're going to have a little lesson.
If you can make me a singer.
You're going to walk out and you're going to be converted.
If you can make me a singer, I'll give you $1 million. I don't have $1 million, but I'll make $1 million and I'll give it. Yeah. If you can make me a singer, I'll give you the first $1 million I make as a singer.
Like a hefty deal.
You are such a liar today, so you need to go home right now.
I'm not even joking because I would not.
Okay.
Because I say that because you'd never make me a singer.
See, I don't know. That's a challenge thrown down to me. That's okay, dude. I totally want to do it.
I will never be giving you $1 million because you could not make me a singer.
First of all, you cannot sing the way that you speak.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to give you a little quick tutorial, and then we need to get going here. So, if I were in Iowa, we speak here. And if I were to sing where I speak, I would sound like this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. If I were to talk where I sing, people would think I was the weirdest person on the planet. So I talk about how you create your space. And then, even though I've had mango LaCroix, I can parle français, I would instead, I'll try not to belch here. Happy birthday to you. Or instead of not very good. So it's a placement thing. It's opening your throat.
Okay.
It's doing it, and I can teach you that, and I will guarantee you. And I'm not giving you my first $1 million because turn the camera off. I do have $1 million. Yes. Think about. Nice. Well, give or take. Maybe not after buying a house. But you will sound better.
Okay.
I rest on my case.
There we go. If June can teach me how to sing, and then Ian can face tune my voice, auto tune my voice.
Ian's going to come hook up my sound system. He's going to let us have surround sound and whatnot. We'll pay. But Ian, even though I have $1 million, I'm not giving you my $1 million.
It's okay.
Come and hook up my sound system. Good. All right, cool.
I wasn't expecting that. So
good. It's good because you weren't going to get it.
I'm gonna have to do a little more.
Now we know your secret. Well, we should sell her a You need a Gold Revere T-shirt.
I hate T-shirts.
It's only $1 million.
What about crew necks?
What?
Like a sweatshirt crew neck style with no hood.
Oh, crew neck?
Mm-hmm.
Like how much though?
$1 million.
Yeah.
No.
It'll be signed by Ian and Akash.
It's only $1 million.
No.
No, it'll be like, I think like 35 or 40. Because
35 of which?
It's very
million,
good
35
quality.
to 40 million.
I would need to see this first.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay. Actually, I spent more than that for this shirt, so I would probably.
Actually, I do. Yeah, I actually do really need. Hey, I never said this to you, by the way. Speaking of,
so random today.
I know.
Aren't we?
Speaking of, I did not go to your graduation party because I was very, very, very sick.
I remember that.
But I was very sick.
Yeah. No, I remember you being sick.
Okay, good. Oh, I was like, I felt so terrible, and I was like, I was gonna message you after the party. I didn't want to message you before, and then I was just sleeping. So
nice.
Pretty hard to do.
So yeah, I felt terrible because I was actually I was gonna go to Chicago that day because I wanted to see Jason Nash, and then it was during the same time as your party, and I was like, Ian's party, Jason Nash. And then I got sick and I didn't even have to make the decision.
Nice.
You know what? She actually went to Jason Nash. Check out everything you'll find. Sarah, right in the front row. Oh, dude, busted.
Oh, June.
Oh boy.
Anyway, subject change. What are we talking about today?
The Banowetz Podcast.
How serious and professional we are at Banowetz
We
Marketing.
are so serious and professional.
Yep. Trust us with your marketing.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay.
So today we're talking about business leadership, which June is our business leadership in-house expert, teaching extraordinaire.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate that. And we are a little full of giggles today, but we are still very professional.
It's a Friday afternoon, so we can be
Absolutely.
relaxed.
And it's hot
and-
outside and yeah, all of that. So yeah, a little bit about that. And I'll just give a brief synopsis here. The better part of my career I've spent in education. And I think along with teaching what I really believed in. And this is even, and Ian is with us today too, Ian Crumley, who I'll talk here in a little bit. But one of the first things he and I talked about the other day is that it's so incredibly important to not only be passionate about what you do, but to be able to exhibit why you're passionate about what you do. And so that's what I got to do. And it was a time in my life to turn the page and find another chapter. But the segue, the connection to that was that I just really have always had in my heart, speaking of passion, of developing leadership teams. I really see the real results and what happens with an organization when you have in place people who are willing to step up the plate and to lead. And leading isn't necessarily about I think like we call 20th century top-down format, but the concept of servant leadership and really engaging people in what's going on and encouraging others to be a part of and to hear their hear about their strengths, because that makes an organization thus stronger as well. So
it's interesting too, because people would probably be like, well, why is a marketing company getting into business leadership? It's not necessarily that we're getting into business leadership. It's just it's just a facet that I found that if you struggle with your marketing, you may possibly have some leadership things to work on too that need. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's not necessarily that if you struggle with your marketing, it's that I'm very committed to not doing false advertising. And so if you're going to market your company in such a way, you need to be able to provide those services or products to your customer the way that we're marketing it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that comes down to a business leadership issue, that then having someone in-house to help with that is very important to me.
I think that's, and I think the other part of that too, Sarah, is that generally a company that is excited or enthusiastic or is even seeking marketing, the obvious reason for that is because they want to grow their business.
Yes.
And so it's also prudent to not look at, okay, now we're going to grow your business, but okay, let's take a step back here for a minute and let's take a look at your operational excellence.
Yes.
Do you really have everything in place within the confines of your business so that your business is ready and set to take off and grow? And I believe that's one of the things that Banowetz Marketing really has to offer to other companies out there, is our ability, our independent contractors who come in and are able to look at a business and ascertain, they're able to see, can we encourage you to tweak this area of what's transpiring, what's going on in your business? And oh, by the way, we have the systems in place and the personnel in place to help you do those very things.
Which it comes down to business development then too. Because, and I'm self-aware enough to know that your business does not grow based solely on marketing.
Right.
It's growing on the other things that you put in place too.
Right.
Marketing is at its very core is just communication. And so do you have something to communicate that people want to hear? And so business development comes down with personal development. I could teach someone to like if we just get down to brass tacks here, like I could teach someone how to present themselves if themselves was their company, present themselves in a way that people want to resonate. But if you don't have the right things to say, if you haven't developed personally to the point where you have things to say that people want to hear, then it doesn't, the way you communicate is not going to be that important, because you're just going to communicate, like if you're self-centered and you're just always talking about yourself, people are not going to want to hear about that. So that comes back to development and personal development and growth.
And we need to realize, accept, and actually be excited about the fact that the world of business is constantly changing. And we can take one of two tacks with that. We can decide, okay, that terrifies me or that intimidates me, and we tend to shut down. Or you can go, yeah. And I want to learn about that. And, oh, by the way, I don't have all the answers. And each person has their own individual talents, and I can choose to be threatened by that, or I can choose to welcome that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can choose to say, because I want to be a lifelong learner, whether I'm 18 or 80 or anywhere in between, that I want to learn from all of you. All of us should say that, because my knowledge base is going to be broader. And again, isn't that what happens in a team?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that happens when we are leading from a servant leadership standpoint?
And really, a changing world is just an opportunity for like business growth, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you think about like just recently, like social media advertisements, like it allows like companies kind of like ours to experiment and like come up with their own ways that will like be better than other companies and kind of propel us forward in our own way. Well, one actually kind of interesting thing is that for my freshman year of high school, June was actually my teacher. It's kind of weird calling her by
I was going to say, is that weird to call me June and not Mrs. Schmidt?
Mrs. Schmidt was actually my choir teacher.
Yeah.
And just recently, actually, I've kind of been interested in the sales side of things of like business. And June actually taught me and showed me kind of how to go about it, which was kind of a funny full circle there, because now she's my teacher
haven't
again.
heard this. Yeah, so this is really well. And number one, going back a little bit, is it your mom? I heard this from multiple sources, and June will get embarrassed here. But has your mom said, listen, something about you were a shy kid and June helped bring it out? Like
I'm not
were
really
you
sure.
pretty shy in
I was
elementary
like-
school and middle school?
I mean, I was definitely like,
Because you're not shy now.
I'm not sure. I don't think I like really did anything like throughout like every years of school until about sophomore year. I guess halfway through freshman years when I like really started to like actually do stuff, but like
Okay.
I didn't really do anything. So maybe I was reserved. I guess.
Okay. So tell us about that. So you were reserved because you were the lead in the Linn-Mar High School production of Beauty and the Beast. Not Beauty and the Beast. Yes, Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Beauty and the Beast. I went to see it. I know but anyway. Beauty and the Beast this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a part of Gold Revere with Akash.
Yeah.
You were homecoming king?
Yep. Homecoming
Candidate.
court. I was a candidate. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't win?
No.
I thought for sure you would have won.
Well,
That's
thank you.
terrible. I don't know who won, but you
No.
should have won.
It was a really nice guy one.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, very.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it still wasn't
Not as
Ian,
nice as
so
Ian,
I
but
was
nice guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
But
were all
still,
happy.
obviously, you're not reserved now.
No.
So what happened freshman year?
Well, I guess I was kind of like the kid that didn't really I didn't hang out with people. I just kind of like sat at home and played video games, and then went to school and complained, and then went home and played more video games. So like, I suppose my freshman year I did show choir, and June was my director for show choir. And that was like the first step that kind of like introduced me to like more a social world, the social environment, like with friends and activities and stuff. And so that was like the first step, and just the way we went about it with like our different like bonding stuff and like all the activities we did like prior, even like before the show choir season even started, like really helped me actually like kind of get out
So what
there
did
and-
June had you do bonding activities?
Yeah, so like one of the things was it's kind of been like a long running tradition, but it's called initiation. So like one morning, early morning, about 5:30.
She put like, what is that, pillowcases over your heads and beat you with sticks or something? Like,
not quite that bad.
No.
Not quite
I wasn't
that
even
bad.
there. I was in Colorado when you guys had that, actually. So, yeah.
Well, so members who were in the group previously come wake you up at like 5:30 in the morning into your house. Like they come into your room. I think the people that got picked me up either did an air horn or they like dropped ice cubes on my shirt. I'm not really sure, but
yeah.
and
Those are things that probably are pleasantly forgotten.
yeah. yeah. So and we just they take us all to one place. We all just kind of meet each other, play some games, just get familiarized with the faces you're going to be seeing for every week for the next 6 months.
So Ian, I have something I have to tell you.
Yeah,
So as Ian just intimated, I had him only when he was a freshman in high school because I retired that year. I graduated. That the kiddos that was our terminology because you don't grow older. And so for me that year, the show that we did was a very personal show for me because it was the last one I was going to have the privilege of conducting. And so as part of a show choir show, you have, choreography, dancing, fast, energy, pace of show, whatnot kind of thing. And the show that, and as subsequent shows that Ian's been a part of, those shows have all done very, very well. Been for a lot of reasons. The groups at Linmore have done very, very well. And the song that we did as our ballad that year, where they basically stand and sing, is called "This Is Not Goodbye." And so that was to them, because one of the things that I've always said as a teacher is that if I couldn't find something to like about somebody as a student, I had no business teaching them. But I just really loved the kiddos that I taught. And so for me, that was sort of my choral love letter to them, that last crew of kiddos that I got to teach with. And there were some solos in that, and Ian auditioned for a solo, and he sang a solo in that song. And Ian, I have to tell you, I went back last week. I went back to a YouTube video and I watched you sing in that song. So
that's funny.
Yeah, he So, he had a great voice. So, as being only his teacher 1 year and only getting to have just a very small thumbprint in his life, it's been really rewarding to watch what Ian is doing, and I know will continue to do. And that's really exciting to me.
Well, and it's exciting to hear that things like that. So obviously with our business leaders, what we do is I'm waiting for you to nod. Yes. So with our business leaders.
Yes.
Yes. So what we do is we have all of the bosses wake the employees up in the middle of the night at their house with an air horn.
Yeah.
And then go and do activities together.
Yeah.
Right.
There's got to be people out there that want to be part of Banowetz Marketing just for that reason,
I am
right?
like completely joking.
No, that's not what goes on.
But we do activities together.
Yeah.
And I can see how they tie in, and yeah.
Well, and I think, and Ian's has already been part of different kinds of organizations. Sarah, you have as well as I, and we can certainly attest to the fact that when you've got a cohesive organization, whatever that looks like, and that can take have a lot of different faces, it's just ultimately going to be more successful. And the side part of that is it's just more fun to come to work.
Well, when you have people that you like being around and that you get along with and that you work together and have similar goals and desires and stuff, just like a show choir team, it's very helpful because if ever, it helps you put on a great show.
And those goals are very clearly laid out. And that's, of course, one of the things that I talk about as I spend time with leadership teams is the concept of seeing and shaping the future.
And you have a background with Chick-fil-A because your husband was the owner-operator of the first Westdale and then Coral Ridge and then Lindale Chick-fil-A.
Correct.
And so when you look at Chick-fil-A, it is not just marketing. It is a lot of business leadership.
It
is
is.
very strong. In fact, I would say that it's more about business. It's a strong brand that they hold their brand standards very closely and like highly, but it's a lot of business leadership that makes Chick-fil-A the way that it is.
It is. And before Ian and I go back to what we did the other day, let me just give just a real brief. One of the biggest aha moments for me and learning that I have experienced was about 20 years ago, Chick-fil-A determined that they needed to study and thus create an innovative leadership model. And
it definitely is that they succeeded.
Yeah, absolutely. And the books and the materials that have been written as a result, and of course, presentations and whatnot, have been invaluable. And it's interesting how other companies study Chick-fil-A. What are you doing? We need to study you, and we need to be like that because it works. And I think for me, it's been such a privilege because these gentlemen and women who were at the forefront of doing this, I know them personally and have sat down and had one-on-one discussions with them. So not only read their books, but know them on a professional and personal level. And so thus it just gives so much credibility to the materials I get to use. So yes, my husband was a Chick-fil-A operator. Yes, I worked in the store for 2 years, but as a result, I was privy to a lot of information and thus a lot of people that has allowed me to craft the concept of leadership that I now present to people, which I truly believe in and used in high school with the leadership cadre of the kids that I worked at. So did that with high school kids who we know are brilliant. High school kids are brilliant. And they know in a New York minute if you have no idea what you're talking about. So that always made me be accountable that I was always studying what I was doing. And then to take those same principles into working with companies and adults, while we're talking about, in some instances, a bit of an age differential, the principles remain the same and equally as effective. So, hey, Ian, let's talk about what we have started to do with the whole sales project and kind of where we are with that. And what you and I have done is we've sat down and talked twice together.
Yeah. So I guess so far you've kind of ran me through a few like examples and like different situations and what answers I would have for potential clients when we're pitching our idea for them to come and be on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's very informative. Like, not only am I learning how to communicate with businesses on a professional level, I'm also learning more and more about this company actually and what we stand for and like why we are able to compete with other marketing companies and why we're actually sometimes better in other departments. And it's really informative. It's extremely interesting for me.
And it goes back to the passion thing too, doesn't it, Ian?
Mm-hmm.
Again, back to the servant leadership thing. One of the things the servant leadership does is that he or she embodies the values.
Yep.
And if you recall, as we sat down both times that we talked about what are the values of this company.
That's right.
And you've just intimated that those values set Banowetz Marketing apart from other companies because of the things that we can offer. So we even talked about one of the very first things yesterday that we talked about was I said to you, I commend you because you were
Oh gosh.
on time.
Oh yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's
Just how valuable that is when you're going to meet with a client that you are on time. It's the little things. It's the I had you practice your
handshake.
Your handshake. Yeah.
We did a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And what else did I have you practice for me?
Essentially just, introducing myself, making them feel like they're comfortable
Yes.
in the conversation and
Yes.
they're kind of the ones in control and we're the ones that are here to serve them and give them an
Exactly.
opportunity.
Yep.
Yep.
I love this. And so this is the first time I'm hearing this because I was in Ohio for a conference all week and left these two to work on this. And so this is exciting. This is, very nice.
But not only, as we talked about at the very beginning of this cast, did we talk through these particular things. We got ready to go and we had materials and talked about, looked at the materials and whatnot and what each, the value and the significance of the materials. But then it was, as we're going out the door, Ian says to me, so you're going to make the presentation and I'm going to watch, right? And I said, sure. But with the thought that I wanted Ian, that it was going to be a collaborative effort on this. So talk a little bit about that, Ian.
Yeah, so how'd that go?
Yeah, it was actually, going into it, I was extremely nervous just because,
Understandable.
It's a limitless playing field. You never know what they're going to ask or what's going to actually happen, like how they're going to react to like what we say. But we went in there and June kind of introduced the idea of them being on a podcast, but then had me explain really like what the podcast was and had me explain all the materials in the folder. And I felt like, once I was in the situation, it became like 10 times easier just to like talk about, I guess, what we are. Yeah, what we are.
What we represent. And I think finally, one of the things that we talked about yesterday that I think is comforting and gives one confidence is you are going to be asked questions that you don't know the answer to. That's not the expectation here. And so what did we sort of come up with that was the important thing to share with a client when that comes up?
Yeah, it's good and valuable to them to admit that you don't know the answer and not try to make something up on the spot that doesn't actually answer their question. But it's also just as valuable to let them know that you are going to find the answer for them and let them know.
Excellent.
And not leave it open-ended.
Yep.
Well, and what's really amazing about this, and this goes down to business leadership training, is how, and everyone working together, is the fact that I had communicated that with you, but I'm not a good teacher and you're the teacher. And so you were able to compile this. And because I know that Ian now, the way he's talking, he had a better experience in learning how to do this coming from you than from me.
And I learned from you.
Yeah, and you learned.
You've given me the information.
So you like with your teaching skills and everything, you took that and then you were able to pass that off to Ian, which I can tell just by the look on his face and the way he's communicating this, is that he, it sounds like you had a really strong foundation. Talking about I wouldn't have even thought to talk about the company values and goals at that point in time, because Ian's already been an employee of Banowetz Marketing for a year now. And so I wouldn't even consider that, but that was key. That is actually key because as he goes out, he needs to be able to communicate that with other people very well. And I wouldn't have even thought to do that. So that right there is an example of the business leadership that we're talking about. Companies
we need to tell our story and we need to let our clients tell their stories.
Yeah.
So, because we want to be able, it's very important to all of us to connect with our clients.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And before we end this podcast, I do want to, this is a big topic and we'll just touch on it. And if anyone wants to learn more, they're going to have to reach out and talk to us because this is really exciting. So June, and I actually did a business leadership mini conference for one of our clients recently. And it's essentially taking what she's helping Ian with here in his one area, but really it's not just sales. It's just in general, what are the needs of the client and how can we help train them in that area? And so that was really exciting. So it was a 4-hour mini conference that we did just for the leadership team at one of our clients' businesses. We did it during a period of time when they had the ability to get together and be together as a leadership team for 4 to 5 hours.
That was amazing, wasn't it, Sarah?
It was exciting.
It really was.
I worked on providing the hospitality for that, and June worked on the teaching for that. So we brought in food for it. We actually had Biaggi's drop off food, so they had a full meal from Biaggi's. It could have been anywhere, but that's where I chose.
We had some team bonding experiences.
We had team bonding
that was particular to them,
and not stupid ones. I think everyone had a lot of fun with that too.
And I got to participate in that.
Yeah, I made you because we had an odd number. So I was like,
It was
June.
great. Yeah, it was great. I'm
Just
so
like the
glad I
teacher
got to do that. Yeah, I even mentioned that in a meeting with this particular group yesterday, and they kind of smiled. And the other part of that is, Sarah, because we, in this instance, we're so attuned to, and are so attuned to their pain points, the areas in which they need to grow as a company, that we were able to tailor what we presented that was exclusive. Maybe not exclusive, but it certainly was applicable to them.
It wasn't a general, like you could just, like this week I was at a conference, it was a general business, marketing conference or whatever. This wasn't that. This was very much 4 hours of a shot in the arm of things that because we've been working with this client for a while,
Right.
And
Good takeaways.
so good takeaways that they could directly apply at this point in time in their business.
And I think the biggest thing for them, as we've noticed, as we've met with them too, is they've become more verbal. They are now interacting more. Just going back to what I talked about initially, was that they are taking more of a personal stake in what's going on and feeling like their voice is being heard. And that's just crucial.
That was
all
one
of
thing
this.
that I did notice that
Yes.
because June works and does about 15 to 20 minutes of business leadership with them at each one of their weekly meetings. But having that 4-hour block of time that was just focused on it did give more time for communication to open up the door to just like talk and
Absolutely.
And
And
so
if,
that was
if I
excellent.
just also interject here too, Sarah, going back to having come from the educational field, I am all about application. I am not about going to a meeting or presenting a meeting and people walking out and gleaning nothing from it. I always want to make sure that I tailor those presentations, interactive or whatever it happens to be, so that that leadership team, those individuals have material, have concepts. They can walk away and they can say, okay, tomorrow I can implement this into what I'm doing.
Well, I can see that with what you did with Ian, because I knew that you guys were going to get together for one meeting while I was gone. But the fact that you got together for two and then you guys went out, because when you first told me that a few minutes ago before we started podcasting, I was like, wait, you already went out? I was surprised by that. But the fact that you did it and then you just right away, like, let's go out there and meet with someone was excellent. That was...
Well, thank you. We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I want to let Ian talk here, but I know from a personal standpoint, it's very rewarding to watch people grow and do. So go.
I mean, it feels rewarding to like be able to grow, especially, I mean, I think going out and immediately acting on what I've just learned in like a kind of textbook sense, like this is what you do, this is what you do. I mean, you can learn so much from that, but actually going out and doing it is completely different. I mean, you learn so much from actually doing.
And you get less scared, don't you?
You do, but I mean, it helps you. I mean,
And you have experience with June, Mrs. Schmidt, from high school too, because this isn't just something that happened the past week or two. That did happen, yes, but also because you have a longer history, because he just graduated, Ian just graduated. So 4 years ago, she had you guys going out and doing right away. You had to get on stage, you had to do the show choir. So it wasn't just textbook. You actually had to go do the stuff. And as a result, I mean, I had no idea that you were like more reserved in elementary and middle school, because to me, I've only known you from that period onward. And I'm like, I think June mentioned or something, you being reserved. I'm like, or your mom saying you were reserved or something. And I was like, what? Like that wasn't I'm like, what? That's not the Ian that I know. Like, when did that happen? But so not only can we see the impact of leadership from just the last week or two, but the impact of not just June, but your parents and everybody too, the impact that leadership and mentors have on someone, to the fact that you were able to go on and be on the homecoming court, be the beast and be the lead in the production, and have Gold Revere, which you told us, Gold Revere has like what, 30,000 listeners a month?
30,000 monthly listeners.
30,000 monthly listeners. It's pretty cool. So...
So you've just heard a snapshot of what we do here at Banowetz Marketing. And those are things that we would love to be able to do with and for you.
Yeah. So definitely reach out to us. And if you want to know more information, if you'd like to be on our podcast, reach out to us for that too. You can schedule online actually at banowetzmarketing.com, and we will talk to you later. Thanks for listening. Bye.